You're standing in the frozen food aisle at Walmart right now. The long corridor stretches in front of you. Glass doors lined with frost. Row after row of meals, pizzas, chicken, fish sticks, vegetables. Everything pre-made. Everything ready to cook. Everything labeled with words like wholesome, natural, healthy choice, and family size. It's one of the most visited aisles in the most visited retailer in America. Walmart serves approximately 240 million customers every single week. A significant portion of those customers push their carts through this aisle and make quick decisions based on price, brand recognition, and the images on the box. A golden brown piece of chicken, a steaming bowl of food, a pizza that looks like it came from a restaurant, a bag of colorful vegetables that looks like it was picked this morning. But here's what most shoppers don't take the time to read. The ingredient list on the back, the sodium content on the nutrition facts panel, the processing methods that got that food from a farm or factory into that frozen box, the additives that keep it shelf stable for 12, 18, even 24 months at sub-zero temperatures. This isn't a story about Walmart doing something illegal. Everything in that frozen aisle is FDA approved. Every label meets federal requirements. Every product has passed regulatory review. But legal doesn't always mean what most consumers assume it means, and the gap between what shoppers think they're buying and what the nutrition label actually shows is wider than most people realize. We looked at 8 of the most popular frozen food products available at Walmart right now. We read every ingredient. We broke down every nutrition facts panel. We compared products that market themselves as healthy against products that make no such claim. And we looked at what the labels reveal versus what the packaging promises. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what's in the frozen chicken that millions of Americans feed their families every week. Why that healthy labeled bowl might not be what you expect, what's actually in a fish stick, and which frozen product in this entire aisle has one of the cleanest ingredient lists you'll find anywhere in the store. Let's start with the product that sits in more American freezers than almost anything else. Great value frozen chicken breast. Walmart's store brand. A 5-pound bag. Affordable. Convenient. The label says chicken breast, and technically, it is chicken breast. But here's where the label requires closer reading. Flip the bag over and look at the full product name. It often reads, boneless, skinless chicken breasts with rib meat, and then in smaller text, contains up to 15% of a solution of water, salt, and sodium phosphates. That sentence changes what you're buying in a fundamental way. When chicken is processed at scale, manufacturers inject a solution of water, salt, and phosphates directly into the meat. This process is called enhanced or plumped chicken. The result is chicken that weighs more, retains moisture during cooking, and has a more consistent texture. The consumer pays chicken prices for a product that is, by weight, up to 15% water and additives. Here's what that means in practical terms. If you buy a 5-pound bag of great value chicken for around $8, you're paying for approximately 4¼ pounds of actual chicken and 3/4 pound of water, salt, and phosphates. The label is legal because the solution is disclosed, but it's disclosed in small print that most shoppers never notice. The sodium content tells the story clearly. A 4-ounce serving of enhanced chicken like this contains around a 4-ounce serving of minimally processed chicken breast with no solution added contains roughly 65 to 75 milligrams. That's a difference of nearly 600% in sodium, coming entirely from the injected solution. The sodium phosphates serve multiple purposes. They help the chicken retain water during cooking, which prevents it from drying out. They act as a preservative, and they improve the texture and color. From a manufacturer's perspective, they're useful ingredients. From a consumer's perspective, they're adding significant sodium to a product most people assume is a clean protein source. For most healthy adults eating chicken occasionally, this level of sodium isn't a serious concern. But for families eating this chicken multiple times a week, For people monitoring sodium intake due to blood pressure concerns, or for parents who believe they're feeding their children plain chicken with minimal additives. The label reveals information that changes the picture. It's on the label. It's just very easy to miss. Now let's look at something that sits in a completely different corner of the frozen aisle. Banquet frozen dinner, specifically the Salisbury steak with mashed potatoes and gravy. One of the best-selling frozen dinner products in America, usually priced under $2. That price point is part of the appeal and part of the story. Banquet has been a staple of American frozen food culture since the 1950s. The brand is owned by Conagra, one of the largest food companies in the United States. When you pick up a Banquet dinner for $1.75, you're getting a complete meal. Protein, starch, gravy, everything in one tray. Ready in minutes. For budget-conscious families, that value proposition is real. Here's what the nutrition facts show. A single Banquet Salisbury steak dinner contains approximately 960 to 1,040 milligrams of sodium. The FDA's daily recommended limit for sodium is 2,300 milligrams for healthy adults. One Banquet dinner delivers roughly 40 to 45% of that daily limit in a single meal. If this is dinner, and breakfast and lunch have already contributed sodium from bread, deli meat, canned soup, or other processed foods, daily totals can exceed recommended limits easily. The ingredient list for the Salisbury steak component alone includes mechanically separated chicken, pork, water, textured soy protein concentrate, corn syrup solids, salt, dextrose, sodium phosphate, sodium erythorbate, sodium nitrite, and natural flavors. The Salisbury steak in a Banquet dinner is a formed processed meat product that combines chicken and pork with soy protein and various additives to create something that resembles and tastes like beef. Mechanically separated chicken is a product made by forcing chicken bones with attached meat through a sieve under high pressure. It produces a paste-like substance that's used in formed meat products. It's legal. It's FDA approved. It provides protein. But it's a significant distance from what most consumers picture when they think of the word steak on the front of the box. The gravy contains water, food starch, palm oil, salt, sugar, yeast extract, caramel color, and various flavoring agents. It's engineered to taste like beef gravy. The mashed potatoes are made from dehydrated potato flakes with added butter flavor, salt, and stabilizers. Everything in this tray is optimized for cost, shelf stability, and flavor consistency at scale. None of this makes Banquet a bad product for what it is. It's an inexpensive, convenient, shelf-stable meal option. But the gap between the word steak on the front and the mechanically separated chicken and pork in the ingredient list is information worth having before you make it a regular part of your family's diet. Next, let's move to one of the most iconic frozen food products in American grocery history, DiGiorno frozen pizza. The tagline is famous. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. And to be fair, DiGiorno does produce a pizza that's significantly better than many frozen competitors. The crust rises in the oven. The cheese melts properly. The overall eating experience is closer to restaurant pizza than most frozen alternatives. But here's what the nutrition facts on a DiGiorno 4-cheese pizza show. A serving size is listed as 1/5 of a pizza. Most consumers eat significantly more than 1/5 of a pizza in a sitting. The nutrition label is designed around a serving size that reflects dietary guidance, not how people actually eat. 1/5 of a DiGiorno pizza contains approximately 340 calories and 690 milligrams of sodium. Eat half a pizza, which is common, and that becomes 1,725 milligrams of sodium. That's 75% of your daily recommended limit in half a pizza. The ingredient list for the crust includes enriched flour, water, yeast, sugar, soybean oil, salt, and dough conditioners, including DATM, which stands for diacetyl tartaric acid ester of monoglycerides. This is an emulsifier used to strengthen dough and improve texture in commercial baking. It's FDA approved, but it's an industrial baking additive that doesn't appear in homemade pizza dough. The sauce contains tomato puree, water, salt, sugar, spices, and natural flavoring. The cheese blend includes modified food starch and powdered cellulose as anti-caking agents in the shredded cheese component. If this sounds familiar from the Costco dairy analysis, it's the same wood pulp-derived additive used to prevent clumping in pre-shredded cheese products. DiGiorno is made by Nestlé, one of the largest food companies on the planet. The product is engineered for consistent taste, proper rise,
and shelf stability across millions of units. For occasional pizza nights, it delivers what it promises, but if you're eating it regularly and haven't read the sodium numbers, the label has information worth noting. Now let's talk about a product that raises some of the most interesting label questions in the entire frozen aisle. Great value frozen fish sticks. The box shows golden brown rectangles that look like substantial pieces of fish. The front label says fish sticks. Many parents buy these for children as a fish-based protein source. Here's what the ingredient list actually shows. The fish component is listed as Alaskan pollock. Pollock is a real fish. It's a mild white-fleshed species that's commonly used in processed fish products. So far so good. But the breading component tells a different story about what you're actually eating by weight. The breading contains enriched bleached wheat flour, water, yellow corn flour, sugar, salt, onion powder, leavening agents including sodium bicarbonate and sodium acid pyrophosphate, natural flavors and spices. The breading also contains soybean oil that has been partially hydrogenated in some formulations, which introduces trans fats, though amounts have been reduced significantly since FDA regulations on partially hydrogenated oils. Here's the practical issue. By weight, a significant portion of what you're eating in a fish stick is breading, not fish. A standard fish stick might be 40 to 50% breading and coating by weight. That means a product marketed and priced as a fish protein source is delivering substantial amounts of processed white flour, sugar, and additives along with the fish. The protein content per stick is relatively modest, typically 2 to 4 grams per stick depending on size.
A single serving of great value fish sticks, typically 6 sticks, contains around 230 to 260 calories and 420 to 460 milligrams of sodium. The sodium comes partly from the fish processing and partly from the seasoned breading. For a product that many parents consider a simple, clean source of fish protein for children, that sodium level and the ingredient list composition is information worth knowing before making it a regular meal choice. Here's where things get particularly interesting in terms of contrast, because the next product sits at the opposite end of the value spectrum and uses the word healthy right in its brand name. Healthy Choice Power Bowls. These are positioned at the premium end of the frozen meal market, usually around $4 to $5 per bowl. Bright, modern packaging, words like protein, whole grains, and nutritious prominently displayed. The Healthy Choice brand has been around since 1989 when it was created by Conagra, ironically the same company that makes Banquet, in response to growing consumer interest in healthier frozen meal options. The brand's entire identity is built on the perception of being better for you than regular frozen food, and in some ways the products do deliver improvements over budget frozen meal. The Healthy Choice Power Bowl, specifically the chicken marinara, with whole grain penne, contains around 360 calories per bowl, 18 grams of protein, 5 grams of fiber and 45 grams of carbohydrates. Those numbers are reasonable for a meal. The ingredient list is cleaner than a banquet dinner. The chicken is whole muscle chicken breast rather than mechanically separated product. Whole grain pasta provides genuine fiber. The tomato sauce is simpler than many competitors. But here's what the sodium label shows. A single Healthy Choice Power Bowl contains approximately 540 to 580 milligrams of sodium. That's 203 to 25% of the daily recommended limit in one bowl. For a product marketed specifically to health-conscious consumers and people who are actively trying to make better food choices, that sodium level is worth noting. The word healthy on the front of the package creates an expectation in consumers. Most people assume healthy means low sodium, clean ingredients, minimal processing. The ingredient list for these bowls is genuinely better than many frozen meals, but better than competitors and actually low in sodium are two different things. The sodium is there because it's necessary for preservation, flavor, and shelf life in any frozen meal product. There's also the portion reality. Healthy Choice Power Bowls are designed as single serving. For many adults, particularly men or active individuals, one bowl at 360 calories isn't a complete satisfying meal. Some consumers eat two, or supplement with additional food, effectively doubling the sodium and calorie intake from the meal. The label is accurate per bowl. How people actually eat these products is different. Healthy choice is a legitimate improvement over budget frozen meals in terms of ingredient quality. But the health halo on the packaging can create a disconnect between consumer expectations and nutritional reality. If you're managing sodium intake, reading the actual number rather than trusting the brand name is the more reliable approach. Now let's look at a product that makes no health claims whatsoever and is honest about exactly what it is. Totino's Party Pizza, usually under $2, sometimes around $1.50, round, thin crust. Comes in a plastic wrap, not a box. Pepperoni, cheese or combination. It's been a staple of budget eating and after-school snacks for decades. Here's the notable thing about Totino's. The label is honest. The product doesn't claim to be healthy. It doesn't use words like wholesome, nutritious, or natural. It's a cheap frozen pizza, and the packaging essentially says so through its price and presentation. When you read the nutrition facts, you know what you're getting. A single Totino's Pepperoni Party Pizza contains approximately 740 calories and 1,170 milligrams of sodium for the entire pizza. Most consumers eat the whole thing. That's 60% of your daily sodium limit in a single meal. The ingredient list includes enriched flour, water, partially hydrogenated soybean and cottonseed oil, and a long list of additives. The cheese on Totino's is not mozzarella. It's listed as imitation mozzarella cheese substitute, made with vegetable oil rather than dairy fat. This is a cost reduction measure that keeps the price at $1.50. Real mozzarella is more expensive. Imitation cheese made with vegetable oil is cheaper to produce and has a longer shelf life. The ingredient list discloses this clearly. The front of the package doesn't emphasize it. The pizza sauce contains tomato paste, soybean oil, salt, sugar, and flavoring agents. The crust contains partially hydrogenated oils, which still appear in some Totino's formulations in small amounts. The FDA set limits on partially hydrogenated oils, and most manufacturers have reduced or eliminated them. But the presence of any partially hydrogenated oil in an ingredient list is worth noting, because it indicates the potential for trace trans fats. Totino's Party Pizza is what it is: a very cheap, very convenient, very processed frozen food product. For occasional use, it delivers exactly what it promises. The label is straightforward. The ingredients are what you'd expect from a product at this price point. The issue isn't dishonest. It's the frequency with which some families rely on products like this as regular meals, rather than occasional convenience food. Now let's talk about a product that genuinely earns positive attention: Bird's Eye Steam Fresh Vegetable, specifically the plain varieties, without added sauces or seasonings. Broccoli, peas, green beans, corn, or mixed vegetable blends. These bags are one of the most straightforward products in the entire frozen aisle. Here's the ingredient list for Bird's Eye Steam Fresh Broccoli Florets. Broccoli. That's it. One ingredient. Broccoli. The peas variety lists one ingredient. Peas. The green beans list one ingredient. Green beans. This is what minimal processing looks like in a frozen food product. The vegetables are washed, cut, blanched briefly to preserve color and texture, and frozen. Nothing added.
The nutrition facts reflect this simplicity. A cup of Bird's Eye Steam Fresh Broccoli contains 30 calories, 0 milligrams of sodium, 2 grams of fiber, and 3 grams of protein. It's essentially the same nutritional profile as fresh broccoli. Frozen vegetables, when minimally processed without added salt or sauce, retain their nutritional value extremely well. Freezing actually preserves nutrients at the moment of harvest, sometimes better than fresh vegetables that have been sitting in transit and on store shelves for days. The distinction here is critical. Bird's Eye Steam Fresh Plain Vegetables is fundamentally different from Bird's Eye Steam Fresh Vegetables with sauce. The sauced versions, like broccoli and cheese sauce, or vegetables in butter sauce, have ingredient lists that include processed cheese product, butter flavoring, modified cornstarch, salt, sugar and various additives. The sodium jumps from 0 to 300 or 400 milligrams per serving. The simplicity is gone. When you pick up a bird's eye bag, checking whether it's the plain variety or a sauced variety takes 3 seconds. The plain varieties are among the cleanest products in the Walmart frozen section. The sauced varieties are processed food products that happen to contain vegetables. The packaging looks similar. The ingredient lists are dramatically different. Bird's Eye is owned by Conagra, the same company that makes banquet dinner. The same corporation produces both a product with 1 ingredient and a product with 25 ingredients. The market serves both consumer preferences. For shoppers who want convenience without added processing, the plain frozen vegetable category is consistently one of the best value and nutrition propositions in the entire frozen aisle. Finally, let's look at a product that sits squarely at the intersection of children's food marketing and frozen food processing. Hot Pockets, specifically ham and cheese. These have been in American freezers since the early 1980s. The brand is immediately recognizable. The jingle is part of American cultural memory, and Walmart sells enormous quantities of them, particularly to families with children and teenagers. A Hot Pocket ham and cheese is positioned as a convenient handheld meal. It's quick, it fits in one hand. Kids like that. They're individually wrapped, they microwave in 2 minutes. For busy households, the convenience is genuine. But the nutrition label contains some numbers that are worth reading before making this a regular part of a child's diet. A single Hot Pocket ham and cheese contains approximately 310 to 340 calories and 700 to 730 milligrams of sodium. That's 30% of the daily recommended sodium limit in a single pocket. The serving is 1 pocket. A hungry teenager often eats 2. That's 1,460 milligrams of sodium in a snack or quick lunch. The crust ingredient list includes enriched flour, water, soybean oil, sugar, salt, yeast, modified cornstarch, datem, sodium stearoyl lactylate and calcium propionate. Datem and sodium stearoyl lactylate are both dough conditioners used in commercial bread and dough production. Calcium propionate is a preservative. These additives maintain the crust's texture, help it rise consistently in a microwave, and extend shelf life. They're FDA approved. They're present in many bread products, but a homemade sandwich doesn't contain them. The ham filling is listed as ham water added, which means it's a water-injected processed ham product rather than whole muscle ham. The cheese is described as a pasteurized processed cheese product, which means it's an engineered cheese product with emulsifying salts, not a simple natural cheese slice. Hot Pockets are designed to survive freezing, microwave heating and the specific texture challenges of a crust that needs to be both crispy on the outside and soft enough to eat without a plate or utensil. Achieving that in a microwavable product requires processing technology and additives that don't exist in a homemade sandwich. The engineering is impressive. The ingredient list reflects that engineering. For occasional use, Hot Pockets deliver convenience and reasonable calories, but for parents who think of them as a simple, quick ham and cheese snack for children, the sodium content of 700 plus milligrams per pocket is information that changes the nutritional picture significantly. So here's what these 8 products reveal about the Walmart frozen aisle. Great value frozen chicken breast is enhanced with a solution that can add up to 15% water, salt, and sodium phosphates, dramatically increasing sodium compared to minimally processed chicken. Banquet frozen dinners use mechanically separated meat products and deliver close to half your daily sodium limit in a single meal priced under $2. DiGiorno frozen pizza contains industrial dough conditioners and delivers over 1,700 milligrams of sodium if you eat half the pizza, which many people do. Great value fish sticks are a significant percentage breading by weight, and the fish component is a modest contributor to the overall nutritional profile. Healthy Choice Power Bowls offer genuinely cleaner ingredients than budget frozen meals, but still deliver 25% of daily sodium recommendations per bowl, and the word healthy on the label creates expectations that the nutrition facts only partially fulfill. Totino's Party Pizza is completely transparent about being an inexpensive heavily processed product. The imitation cheese and the sodium numbers are on the label. No health claims are made. Bird's Eye steam fresh plain vegetables contain one ingredient, the vegetable itself, and represent some of the best nutritional value in the entire frozen section. The distinction between plain and sauced varieties is critical and easy to miss on the shelf.
Hot Pockets delivers 700 plus milligrams of sodium per pocket, with processed ham and cheese products in a crust full of industrial conditioners and preservatives, making them a significant sodium source for children who eat them regularly. What connects all of these products is the gap between front of package messaging and back of package reality. The front of the package is marketing. The back of the package is information. A box showing golden brown chicken doesn't tell you about the 15% solution. A label with the word healthy doesn't tell you that 25% of your sodium budget is gone before you read it. A bag of fish sticks doesn't prominently disclose how much of the product is breading rather than fish. This isn't a criticism of Walmart specifically. The same dynamics exist in the frozen aisles of every major retailer in America. These are industry-wide practices, not retailer-specific ones. Walmart sells what the market demands and what regulators allow. The practical takeaway is simple. In the frozen food aisle, the back of the package matters more than the front. The ingredient list and the sodium number on the nutrition facts panel contain information that the product photography and brand messaging are not designed to communicate. For most products, the information is right there. It just requires 30 seconds to read. For families, the frequency question is the most important one. An occasional banquet dinner or bag of fish sticks isn't a health crisis. But if frozen processed meals with 700 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium per serving are a regular fixture in a child's diet across multiple meals per week, the cumulative sodium intake becomes something worth thinking about. The labels provide the data. How that data translates into daily dietary habits is a decision each household makes individually. The Bird's Eye plain vegetables in that same frozen aisle offer a reference point, a product with one ingredient, zero sodium, and strong nutritional value at an affordable price. It's in the same aisle, sometimes right next to the sauced versions in the formed meat products and the pizza. The range exists. The information to navigate that range is on every single package. The label is always telling a story. Most shoppers just don't have the habit of reading.